Welcome, ladies. I want to remind everyone, in case you didn't fully read the email, that I want you to have an essential oil or some sort of fragrance with you that you can use for practice. So it looks like you all have it. If you don't, do that now. Actually, I'm going to go get a different one. I'll be right back. We are moving in wiser. We are opening our circle. We are moving in wiser. We are opening our circle. All right. All right, welcome, beautiful ladies. Are you ready for the prosperity party? Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes. All right, to start with, I'd love for us to actually just take one moment to close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, just feel your root, feel your butt cheeks, feel all that luscious lower part of your body making some contact with the seat beneath you, just to root yourself in, because there's going to be a lot of power, a lot of energy that's moving here tonight. So we want to make sure we're all grounded and rooted. And you can drop a rooting cord from your pelvis down all the way through the floorboards, through the basement, through the earth, all the way down to the very core of the earth. And wrapping that cord around and feeling that intimate connection between the core of the earth and your pelvis, your core. And if it feels good to you, perhaps taking a moment just to breathe a little bit of that earth energy up into you through that cord, inhaling. And you can take an exhale out through the mouth. We'll do another breath that way. And just be feeling yes, yes, yes in all of that juicy goodness in your pelvis as you inhale Mama Earth's supportive energy up into you. And then exhaling out anything that you're ready to let go of tonight. And you can shake off if there's anything that you want to release. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. And what I would love to do before we dive in is just to have you each get to see each other's face a little bit and say hello. And for now, the best thing I think is just if you can say your name and you can say where you live and just give a little wave or a little hello to everybody. And I want to make sure that it should happen that when you speak, you'll pop up on the screen. But if that's not happening, someone write in the chat and let me know, because I want to make sure that your faces are popping up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everyone for the moment so that we can do that easily. Unmute all. And how I think the best way to do it is just jump in. Just whoever feels called, just jump in, say your name, and say where you are calling in from.
Hi, everybody. My name's Leah. Did I pop up?
You did not on my screen. Did she pop up on the other screens?
Yeah, my screen did.
You guys are getting a yes, thumbs up? Okay, it's working. All right, I don't know why it's not on mine, but great, perfect. So was that Leah?
Yes, it's Leah.
Go ahead.
Isabel's shaking her head no, but Isabel, you know what I look like, so.
There you are.
So I'm Leah, and I'm in Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Mindy, and I live in Telluride, Colorado.
Welcome, Leah. Welcome, Mindy.
I'm Isabel. I'm calling in from Ojai, California.
Welcome, Isabel.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany and I'm calling in from Santa Monica, California.
Welcome, Brittany. Yay. I love seeing everyone's faces here.
I'm Rebecca, and I'm calling in from just south of Savannah, Georgia.
Welcome, Rebecca. Yay.
Oh my gosh, Rebecca!
You two know each other.
I'm Lulu, and I'm calling in from Charleston, South Carolina. And I love that Rebecca's here.
I'm so glad you're here. That's awesome.
Hi, I'm Paige. I'm calling in from Milwaukee, so way further north than you guys. But
Welcome, Paige.
Hi, Paige. I didn't even know you were doing the course. Oh my God, see?
Hi, I'm Tamara. I'm calling in from Mar Vista, which is basically Los Angeles, California. And I'm so glad Paige is here.
All these surprises. I love it. Welcome, Tamara. Welcome, Paige. Who else? Who have we heard from yet?
Hi, I'm Molly, and I'm calling from Los Angeles, Woodland Hills to be specific.
Welcome, Molly. Yay. Have you missed anybody?
Helen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Helen, and I'm from Vancouver.
Welcome, Helen. Yay.
Hi, I'm Katya. You can't see my face because I'm on my phone, and I'm from Los Angeles.
Welcome, Katya.
Yay.
I'm Kristen May. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yay, Kristen. So nice to see your face. You're one of the ones who I haven't met yet. So welcome. Yay. And I know that we have a few ladies who I think can't make it for our first class tonight, but, oh, Anna, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Nice to see your faces. I'm still living in Australia.
Welcome, Anna. All right. I think that's everybody who is here for our first class. Is there anyone we didn't get to hear from? All right. Okay, so I'm going to put you all back on mute so you'll be able to hear me a little bit better. Continue. Okay. And all right, yay! Okay, so now you have a sense of some of the other faces and women that are in this circle with you, and that you're spread around all over the country. We have, our sort of LA contingency, but we've got some women in the South, and we've got Vancouver, Australia. Paige kind of over there in the middle of the state, or in the middle of the country. And I just want to welcome you all. And I really want to emphasize tonight that this is a portal. Like this course, like every course is a portal in a way, but there is something about this particular work that we're going to be engaging in together that more than ever, I'm convinced is such a wild, magical portal that we're opening. And it's stepping into a space of magic, of what feels like magic, which is actually just the new paradigm reality, the way of living in a more balanced, feminine, receptive, open space. But what occurs feels wildly synchronistic, magical, miraculous, and I am literally myself today gobsmacked at this portal. There's a couple of you that were with me the first time we did this, over a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And it's really interesting because we open this together, we engage in practices together, and I'm doing it with you. And one of the things we're gonna be doing is a 40-day prosperity practice, along with, which is a written and journaling practice, along with these other practices that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. And we have a vision. And this evening's class, we're going to be focusing on what is your prosperous vision? Really, what is it that you want to call in and bring into your life? And at that time, there were two aspects of my vision that were really important to me. And I had done a 40-day practice just before we began the course. And on the 40th day, I had this experience of, beyond my wildest dreams in a way, this thing occurring and showing up for me that was exactly what I was wanting to call in. And then there was another piece of that I focused on as well as we were in the journey together doing the 40-day practice. And that piece, it was about nature. And so those of you that were with me in that, you can probably remember, I talked about like going out and weeding the front of my house. I had this little tiny, you wouldn't even really call it a yard. It was just sort of this little tract of kind of weeds and bushes in front of my house. And I would go out there and weed them because I really wanted to connect with the fact that I wanted to have nature. Like that was my big vision. And a few months later, I manifested that part of the vision. But the other piece of the vision kind of, like the timing was off. It sort of faded away a little bit. And interestingly, like as this portal is opening again, almost to the date in the kind of anniversary of the Prosperous Goddess portal, this piece of it has come back in a big way. And like in wild synchronistic ways again, that just feels so magical. And the reason I'm sharing that is because I want you to know that while we engage in this process, you're probably pretty immediately going to start to feel a lot of things moving, a lot of magic, a lot of attraction happening. And there are going to be pieces of your vision maybe showing up rather quickly, and maybe some pieces not. That there's an element of timing. And but it's always working. And I guess just to trust that. And to really know that it's wild. It's just wild. I'm just going to say that, what can happen. And And I want to, really why I created this course was I wanted to share practices that were really working for me. And, I went through a period in my own process where I had leaned into a kind of rigid, more masculine, and I would say kind of old paradigm masculine way of approaching my business and certain aspects of my life that had become very contracting for me. And although in some ways it was creating some success in my life, it was also depleting me in other ways. And there was a little bit of a breakdown I had where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I went on an adventure to really explore and discover what is the kind of life I want to live. What does prosperity truly mean to me? What is it, this idea of the dream life? What is it unique to me, individual, different than maybe what I thought it was supposed to look like, or my mentors or the media was telling me it was supposed to look like? And as I leaned into my feminine, and as I included a lot of practices that had to do with me taking time and being in alignment with myself, what I noticed was that things could start to attract and move. And I experienced a lot of magic, a lot of these occurrences where it's like, how, like, where did that come from? How, like stars aligning. And I discovered that, this is really the new paradigm that we're moving into. And as women who are leaders, and pretty much every woman I work with in some form or another is here. Like, you're not really drawn to do this work unless you know that you have some way that you're participating in this paradigm shift, in this revolution that is taking place at this moment. Like, we all incarnated, our souls chose to be here in this really wildly scary in some moments time, and also wildly alive and important time. And we're shifting out of this paradigm that's so depleting to the planet and has been really dishonoring to women, imbalanced. We're coming to the end of those ways. They're no longer sustainable for the world, for the sort of the macro level consciousness. And as women who are meant to participate in a positive way in the shift that's taking place. And like I said, you all are leaders in your own individual way. You're all showing up, and some of you have a platform where you're in personal development, or you're a coach, or leading retreats, and some of you are working in different aspects of the corporate world that you're meant to revolutionize in your way. And if we're going to take on that role, we need to embody that within ourselves. We need to have a better alignment and relationship with our feminine energy. And we need to start to be able to understand that this 3D world that we're living in, that seems like everything is so solid, and that we have this limitation of the ego mind of how we're supposed to go about things, the veils are thinning. Like, this is no longer the world that we're living in. We need to live in a world that's actually much more connected to spirit and to soul, much more receptive, and really believing in magic and understanding that that happens when we're in alignment, when we are internally aligned. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but I would love for us together to really acknowledge that this is a portal we're opening. And the portal that we are opening is that we, as a collective of women, are choosing to, kind of, I would say, in a way, dig our feet into the ground and say, no, I don't accept the old way of doing things. I understand that there's a new way. I am going to hold the energetic of that, and I am going to create miracles in my life. And those miracles are going to allow me to live in prosperity, to live in a state where I'm not depleted, I'm not burned out, I'm not so focused on the doing and leaning into my masculine. I am going to live in a place that's truly magical. And I'm going to lead others by first embodying that myself. And literally become prosperity incarnate. To become someone who is energetically vibrating at this frequency of prosperity, of enoughness. And there is a goddess in the Hindu culture named Lakshmi, who is the goddess of prosperity. And she, I would say, is the patron goddess of this course, and we'll be talking about her much more deeply next week and understanding her a little bit more. But she really is the divine feminine expression of abundance, of prosperity, and who we are going to call upon within ourselves to embody and discover. And so I would love for us to open up the portal together by acknowledging the divine feminine, acknowledging her, and just collectively bringing our sounds into our voices into a sound vibration together. And I love it. Lindsay Lulu, who's done this before, said this course is absolutely a portal. Yeah. And so we're going to open up that portal right now. And I'm going to take you all off of mute actually one more time, so that what we're going to do is we're just going to do one Ma chant together. And as we say Ma, I want you to envision this portal opening, seeing us all as if we're in a big circle holding hands, and that we are stepping into this space of magic together. All right? So I'm going to unmute you. You're all unmuted. And go ahead and close your eyes for this. Ground yourself. And now we're going to inhale. And just taking a moment to feel that portal opening. And through that portal, we have access to infinite potential, to the infinite possibility that we as divine beings in human form have access to. That portal is now open. From this moment forward, nothing is as usual. Nothing is the old status quo. We are transmitters of this divine infinite power to magnetize and to co-create. All right. Okay, so yes. Let's see, where do I want to start here? Okay. So on a personal level, a lot of the women I've worked with have suffered from burnout, have suffered from some way that they have not been able to have a good relationship with their feminine energy and with prosperity. And they've either had to sort of put their feminine to the side and lean into their masculine in order to make money, because that's what we've been taught. That's what for thousands of years has been the predominant paradigm and understanding on the planet, is that money has been ruled by men and the masculine. And so we as women learn, and we live in a time where we have the tremendous freedom and liberation to, we're only a few generations into a time where we have opportunities to be in the workforce, to be writers and leaders and, do all the things that we're doing without being, called witches or, this is a time where we've really been so liberated. And it also means it's a time as well that we feel a lot of responsibility to take care of ourselves and to make money. And it was a very quick kind of progression from women having no relationship to money and actually like kind of almost like having to be reliant on men all the time, to then being able to have access into the workforce, but at the same time have this idea of, well, that's a man's world, so I've got to lean into my masculine in order to be able to function there and succeed. Makes a lot of sense that that's how things have unfolded. Now, our current the moment we're in, this current generation of women who are in the workforce, for the first couple generations, they didn't really have much of a choice. It was like, I got to put on the power suit and go in there and show like I can do anything a man can do. And now we've kind of infiltrated enough, it's normalized enough for women to be in the workforce that we can start to actually check in and go, oh, but does this feel good to me? Doesn't. Most of us really doesn't. We start to go, wait, but I've disconnected from my feminine. And when we do that, it means that it's not really sustainable for us. We can't keep grinding, hustling and grinding and pushing. It's not natural. It's not natural for men as well. They need more of a balance of their feminine energy. But it's definitely very challenging for us as women. And it puts us in a place where we come out of our bodies, out of our sensuality, out of our sexuality. Or if we are really connecting to our feminine, we have a belief that means, okay, like I can't really be making money from this place. One of the things we're really focusing on in this course is understanding that, whoa, wait, money can be feminine. Prosperity can be feminine. Actually, it is feminine because it's through our senses that we actually get to experience prosperity. And as women, we do magnetize when we're in our feminine. We attract. And the new paradigm is really much more focused on our being than our doing. I'm not saying we don't still do things. We do. We can't just sit home and not take any action. But we veered so much into the doing and so much into the hustling and the grinding that we need a lot of course correction around the being part, which is the feminine. And there was this meme that was being passed around a couple of years ago that I saw a lot, which was, it said like hustle, and then it was crossed out, and then it said align, or people would say align is the new hustle. And I love that. I probably shared that on my Instagram, but it's because that's exactly it. Like that, in a way, that just was like, oh yeah, that's it. That's the shift that's happening in paradigm in many ways. We get that, right? Oh, okay, I'm going to align myself with that which I want to create and experience in my life rather than have to like go hard and try and push and make it happen. But what does that really mean? And what are the steps? How do I actually do that? That's what this course is about. So aligning with something means you become the person who has the stuff, that has the thing, the life, the dream, the whatever it is that you want. We have to understand, wait, who is the person that has that? And we're going to go deeper and deeper into this over the weeks in the course, but really understanding that so much of what's going on in your life is really a reflection of what you believe about yourself, of who you think you are, what you're worthy of, what kind of person you are. This sense of identity that you have really defines so much about what you allow into your experience in your life. As you become that person, you can't help but have the thing, because that's who you are. Not about what you do to get the thing, it's who you are. The doing becomes really easy when you are the person. But when you're not the person, you can do and do and do and be really hard to manifest the thing. So for each of us, there is a core soul signature. It's like your highest potential and possibility, your destiny, your soul. It's like that, the life that you came here to live. And one of the things that's the most painful experience, I think, is when we feel like when we know like we're capable of something, but we're not feeling it happen and manifest in our life. That's like one of the worst kinds of pains. Like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Like, I know I should have this thing, or I know I can be this person. That's a feeling of being out of alignment with the soul. Whatever it is that you feel like you're meant to have in this lifetime, when it's not something that's absorbed from the ego, like there's certain things we're fed by our culture and we think, oh, I'm supposed to have that because like that means that I'm high status, or that would mean something about me, or that's what a happy life looks like. But when you get to the core of what truly you want, you desire that because it's a match for who you are. It's what you came here for. It's what's meant for you. When you veer away from that, it's always going to feel painful. You're meant to align with your soul. And when you are aligned in that way with the truth of who you are, there is a sense of harmony, a sense of flow. Suddenly, when you're aligned, you're like that lightning rod, and the synchronicities and the magic and the things start to happen. But it's like we've been living in this matrix that's kind of put a lid right here and told us like we're down here. And it's like, no, it's like you're in the rat maze or something. And it's like, no, you got to do this and then do that. And then you're going to get to the goal. And it's really putting everything in this very linear time frame. And what this work does is it blows that away. And it allows us to access a much higher matrix of reality and lets us drop into, and again, we'll expand on all this as the weeks progress, but going into this matrix that is beyond time. It's not in the linear time space. It doesn't follow all the laws that we think this world follows around time and logic. And that's why it feels miraculous and magical and, all of these words that we use, but it's really just how things work. And more we're living in a time where the veil is thinning, where things are starting to be exposed when they're not aligned. And I think that that's something that I feel like we're seeing it left and right. I mean, it's such a volatile time we're living in, like politically and in, what's going on with the environment. But I just feel like left and right, these blinders are being pulled off. The veil is thinning and people are piercing through and saying truths about things. And it starts to look like, even with like the Me Too movement, it like looking at like it's sort of like how did we live for so long without people saying these things are going on? It's coming up around race relationships in this country. There's just a lot of things being exposed that are really, really important. And where things are not aligned, it's just not okay anymore. And I would say even versus when I, taught this course a year and a half to 2 years ago, it's ramped up more. It's like you will feel pain when you're not in alignment. You could do all the right things, but if you are not in alignment, you will feel the pain of that. When you are in alignment, rapidly, things start to open and start to move. And what else do I want to say about that? So our work together, a lot of it is just about becoming in alignment with identifying what our true desires are. Like what truly lights us up, what truly fulfills us, what we truly came here to experience and live in this life. And then to align with that, to become that person. And to keep feeling into that. I love that question. Who do I have to be in order to have what I desire? Who do I have to be? Now, I'm going to just give you a little bit of an outline of the process that we're going to go through in the course just to sort of prep you. So this week is a focus on getting our vision clear and getting a feeling touch point for that, so that you have a way to very rapidly and quickly touch into that daily. And I'm going to share with you the beginning of the tools that are going to start to allow you to get clarity in your nervous system and your whole being to be aligned with that touch point, that feeling touch point. Next week, we're going to focus on the cellular level of prosperity. We're going to focus on really becoming the physical vibration and frequency of prosperity incarnate. And we're going to work with the embodiment of Lakshmi, and we're also going to look at self-care and different ways that actually taking care of the physical body and the energetic body is going to be supportive of you becoming this magnet and this lightning rod for the magic to happen. And then we are also going to have a week where week 3 and 4, I'm going to feel where we're at rhythmically. So I might swap these, but week 3 or 4, we're going to look at our shadows, our blocks, and the things that we need to release in order to be able to have that vision. And then we're also going to have a week where we make shifts and changes in our daily patterns, our rituals, our behaviors, our dress, to really reflect that, making choices that reflect our beliefs about ourselves and in alignment with this vision. And then we're going to have week 5, which is opening up our sexual energy, our creative life force, and directing that towards our intentions. That's a sex magic week. That's a really fun week because our sexuality, that energy is some serious magic towards creating our desires. And then the final week is where we really bring it all together and we map out how we're going to keep working with it and moving towards our vision. So one of the questions that I wrote here that I feel like is a really great one to feel into, which is, what would your life look and feel like if you actually believed and knew with absolute certainty that your needs were always met? That worry has no place or function. That's one of the things that's going to be really important during this work, is for you to be able to tap into a state of knowing that your visions, your dreams are coming true. And that sounds perhaps on the surface like kind of a light thing, but I mean it very deeply, like in your core, that you know and that you trust. because our positive expectation is going to be the thing that opens up the possibility of really allowing the vision to come in. It is our worry and our fear. Now, we're going to have a week where we talk about that because it's natural for those things to come up. That's where we're going to look at the blocks. But it's understanding that that is like putting down train tracks in a direction that you don't want to go. When you're able to connect to a place where you actually know that it's coming true, you have this expectation you're creating that puts down the tracks, that allows it to come to you. And like I said, this is not spiritual bypassing. And sometimes people can work with this like sort of magnetizing, law of attraction, and try and bypass the negative feelings. And we're going to spend time, we're actually going to look at that stuff that's kind of bubbling under there and deal with it, and acknowledge it. And at the same time, understand that we're moving towards this place where we can get to having practices that bring us into a state daily that do allow us to have that positive expectation. Now, it's actually a prosperous frequency to have the time and the space to feel whatever those negative feelings are. And that's where we're not doing any spiritual bypassing, if that makes sense, right? So that while we're going through the course of this work, we understand that if fears, if anxieties or worries, negative feelings are coming up, that we give space to feel them. That giving the space for whatever the dark emotion is actually a form of prosperity. And in that week where we focus on that, I'll go into more detail about how to really be with that and work with that within the context of what we're talking about here with our frequency and our state of alignment. So, and you know what I'm reminded of as I say that is that, you know, collectively, when we're able to look at the dark stuff, or we're able to look at the shadow, it actually opens up the possibility for us to, if we're able to simultaneously do that with also seeing into the future with that positive expectation, that is the kind of balance point where we're able to create the new paradigm world that we want to live in externally on the larger level, and also create that in our own individual life. All right. I want to check in and see if anyone has questions so far. We'll have a big Q&A at the end, but I just sort of want to see if everyone's with me. Okay. So what I would like to do right now is have us start to connect to and identify with what that particular prosperous vision is for ourselves. And what I'd love to do is check in first. Is there anyone who has who's coming in with something very specific already that you're clear that you want to manifest or create? If so, you can raise your hand. And if not, that's fine. We're going to spend some time with it right now. I see Leah has a hand up. Leah, do you want to just share for everyone what your vision is briefly?
So I would say, so my vision is, it actually opened up in the last course I did with you. But my vision is really skyrocketing my business, which is based in photographing women, but also has a structure similar to this with weekly calls and like weekly coaching leading up to doing a boudoir session. So a little bit of coaching, a little bit of boudoir photography, kind of all meshed into one created thing. So this year is really about like, I just launched it and like having it be wildly successful, like 10 to 20K a month is what I'm creating. I'm creating getting out of my 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. And I noticed myself like thinking like small, like, oh, how about a 2-bedroom apartment? I'm like, no, like give me a house with a yard and an office and a shooting space. Like that's my vision. And it's not like, it's not absurd to have that vision. So that's what I'm creating.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love it. And
I have one more thing to create with that.
Yeah.
Also, I got engaged right after your last course, and I'm also planning the wedding of my dreams, like no freaking budget, like maybe not no budget, but like I don't have to play small inside of that. It can really be like a beautiful creation. So that's the other thing I'm manifesting.
Yes to all of that. Beautiful. I'm gonna put you back on mute. Beautiful. So I love how Leah caught herself. She caught where the possibility was to be putting limits on it, of like, oh, well, how about a 2-bedroom apartment? And they go, wait, no, that's not what I really want. She's like, yes, a yard, a house, a place to shoot. When you first said shoot for a minute, I was like, she wants a shooting range? And they're like, wait, no, she's a photographer. But expanding, letting yourself really get connected to what it is you truly desire. And I think it's great when you have specific numbers, like 10 to 20K a month, that kind of thing. And I also want to say that it's okay to not have specific numbers. And that in some ways, I think what I'm going to say is that it works different for different people. So for some people, having that number is going to be really helpful. For some people, it'll be unhelpful. And so you've got to determine that for yourself a little bit. In general, I feel like getting really connected to the life that you want to live and letting it come to you however it wants to come to you is a good way to go. Meaning, I hear for her, it's really important to feel that her work is out in the world and that she's fulfilled in that way. And she wants to have this house and this lifestyle and this wedding. And that can all add up and look like, it could look like exactly what she said, and it can also come in different ways. Meaning that the budget for the wedding or the house doesn't necessarily need to come from a specific number that's coming in through her business, right? That we're stepping into magic. So it's possible that, who knows, like someone could next week call up Leah and be like, hey, I just bought this house in Malibu and I'm not going to be able to live there for the next 6 months. So would you mind just living in the property for me? Right? I thought of that because I'm actually going tomorrow to look for a friend of mine who's buying a house on the beach in Malibu with her real estate person. I'm like, oh, this is good practice for when I'm buying my house. But you don't know how it could come through, right? But you know that you want to live in an expansive, beautiful home. And you know that you also want to feel that you're impacting a lot of women's lives and that you're being fulfilled through your work. And right? Mm-hmm. But it's sometimes we think that it has to happen in a certain sequence or in a certain way. And when we just get really connected to experiencing and feeling the sensation, the aliveness of the vision, we open up the doors for it to come in any way that it wants to come. I love it. People are responding to Leah's vision. Yeah, really beautiful and clear. There's a lot of clarity in what I'm hearing you say, which is great. And like I said, in the practice we're going to do in a moment, we're going to get really connected to what does it feel like, because it's actually the feeling, it's actually the sensation that you're seeking, right? It's the feeling of being in an expansive home. It's the feeling of impact, success. It's the feeling of the wedding. So it's a sensual experience. And that's where I want to emphasize the feminine aspect of our manifesting, which is all about just, it's the lifestyle, it's the experience, it's the sensation in your body, which is a freedom, it's a liberation, it's an empowerment. And so tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to start to open that up for all of you. And you can allow it to percolate over the next, few days or week. You don't have to have it all solidified, super clear right away. But what I would love for you to get connected to in the exercise I'm going to share in a moment is just this feeling of, oh, this is what I want to experience. This is what I want to feel. This is what I want in my life. And what I'm going to take us through is a breathing practice. And then we're going to spend some time through that breathing practice, feeling into what it is that I want to feel. And then we're going to do some journaling where you can start to write down what are the sensations, what are the visions. One of the things that's going to be really helpful for the daily prosperity practice is if you start to get snapshots. And again, we all work a little bit differently as far as how our imagination functions, how we connect to things. For myself, it's generally if I can get a feeling sensation and a visual kind of snapshot of a moment, as if I'm seeing, as if it's this home movie being made, and I'm feeling. So for Leah's vision, it would be perhaps she's in that space where she's going to be shooting all of the women, and she's feeling, seeing that, or she's pulling the what do they call it, the thing across where the women are gonna pose in front of her, or something like that. Or maybe it's she's feeling herself at her wedding and she sees herself walking down the aisle and exactly the gown and the location and everything, she just sees that in her mind and sees her beloved waiting at the altar for her. Or it could be it's money is you're throwing money in the air and it's coming down on your face and you're feeling it. It's whatever it is, but getting these little snapshot moments, for myself, when the nature was coming through for me, one of the things that I would see for myself would be just my hand running through these lavender plants, bushes of lavender and rosemary, and then just taking a little bit in my hand and smelling it. And it's so interesting because I moved into this property and I didn't realize that there was lavender and rosemary plants on it when I first moved in. And I realized it one day and I was like, oh, sure. And I just had that experience of oh my gosh, here it is, And so in the practice I'm going to share in a moment, I would love for you just to start to let that visual field and sensation field open up, so you're connecting to that sensation and you're seeing it and feeling it as if you're there. And but for some of you, so Leah's really clear. Some of you might be sitting there right now going, I kind of know what I want, but maybe it's not that clear right now, or maybe it's hard for you. Maybe you actually struggle with being able to clearly identify and verbalize what your truest desires are. And so if that's the case, this practice is going to help you. What we're going to do is we're going to start to breathe together and understand that breath in many ways is the frequency of prosperity. It's the more that you allow yourself to inhale and receive the breath, the deeper that you allow the breath, the more that you're actually radiating at the frequency of prosperity. That when we contract the breath, we shrink the breath, and we stay more shallow, we're actually in a more it's contracted, and it's a scarce place. We actually sometimes don't breathe really deeply because we don't feel like we have the space or the time, because we've got to get something done and we've got to get on to the next thing. And so the embodiment is a big part of this practice. And as you become more embodied, as your limbs and your whole being is filled up with more breath, there's more spaciousness, more aliveness within you. There's a plumpness to the life force and the vitality that's moving through you. As you do that, it's really interesting. You'll start to notice more how contracted and shallow most people are. Like people keep a really shallow breath and they're kind of in the head. And it's like, it's actually, that is anxiety and scarcity and fear. And a sense of, I can't really relax into this moment I'm in. I want you to get that. Just the ability to take a really, really deep breath in a given moment is an expression of prosperity. It's showing a belief that everything is okay and I can actually fully relax into the moment I'm in. I can expand into the moment I'm in. People shrink so often because there's a sense that they're on the hamster wheel. I've got to get to the next thing, and I've got to get this, and I've got to get, and in that contraction, that is scarcity. That's a belief around scarcity and time, which is one of the biggest ways that we experience scarcity and then project it into all the other areas of our life. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of Shakti breathing, which is dropping the breath in through the sensual center, in through your sexual center. And we're going to just kind of stew there in our vision, in our opening to like, what does my heart want? What does my pussy want, right? If you have trouble knowing what it is that you really want, it's probably likely that you're not very connected to your gut and to your pussy. And if that word bothers anyone, I can say our yoni, but it's just that's a very direct word that most of us kind of learned that part of our anatomy from. But it's like that part, this oracle between our legs really is what tells us what it is that we desire and what we want. She knows. And but it's like when we're disembodied and we're up in the head, we can kind of circle and be like, I don't know, what do I want? That do I want? We don't know. The gut instincts and the yoni, kind of the pussy knowing, is where that like deep, like, yeah, this is what I desire, this is what I came here for, comes from. This like, hell yeah, like that thing that, there's, people would say, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. It's like, how do you know when something's a hell yes? You feel it down there. It comes from that place. And so we're going to get into our bodies. We're going to connect to that part of our body and then just start to feel into that vision. So go ahead and close your eyes now. And with the eyes closed, just dropping your energy, your awareness, and your breath down into that part of your body, making contact with the seat as we did at the top of the class. And then locating the center point on the pelvic floor, in the perineum, that halfway point between the vaginal and the anal opening. And from there, dropping that cord of connection once more through the seat, through the floorboards beneath you, down through the basement, into the earth, deeper and deeper, all the way down to the very core. And it was wrapping itself around that Shakti-filled, juicy, life force-filled center of the earth, the core. And just feeling that intimate connection between your pelvis, the core of the earth, and feeling that your sensual self, that primal, desiring, receiving self is receiving all of this life force energy from Mama Earth. And keeping the eyes closed, we're going to begin to do the breathing practice where we inhale in through the nose and we exhale out through the mouth with that little bit of that Darth Vader-y kind of breath. And I know there's many of you that have done this practice with me, but for those of you that haven't, it's just that kind of thickness that comes from that. And we're not pushing, it's not, there's a softness. This is a receiving feminine breath. So you're going to feel it just almost like steam rising through the pipes as it comes up and out. And so we're going to do a few rounds of the breath together. And then I'm going to say, now drop it down. And when I say drop it down, That means you're going to start to really feel like you're inhaling and exhaling in and out through your sexual center. Although you're still obviously breathing into the nose, out through the mouth, but you're going to energetically feel that part of your body activated, as if you're breathing in that Gaia, that Mother Earth energy in through that cord of connection into your sexual center. And then on the exhale, being able to feel it moving throughout your body and really filling you up. So we're going to begin together, inhaling on the count of 4. And we're going to pause that breath on a count of 4. And then exhaling out that Darth Vader breath through the mouth gently on a count of 8. Inhaling. Pausing. And then exhaling. Inhaling. Pausing. And then exhaling. Inhaling. Pausing. And then exhaling. Inhaling. Pausing. Exhaling. Next breath, dropping it down through the sexual center. And then exhaling. Inhaling in through the sexual center. Pausing. And then exhaling out. Feeling your whole body being filled with this Shakti. This is the divine, feminine, creative life force energy. Inhaling in through the sexual center. Pausing. Exhaling. Inhaling. Pausing. And then exhaling. One more round. Inhaling. Pausing. And then exhaling. Now, keeping your eyes closed. In this state of receptivity, if you want, you can continue to do some of the breathing that way, or you can bring your breath back to normal. If there's any way that your body wants to just gently move or undulate, you can allow that. I'm going to put on music. And what I'd like for you to do is, in this state, start to feel yourself in your prosperous vision. Start to feel what comes through for you, what you're desiring, seeing yourself there, starting to get those touch points. Notice, what does it feel like in your body to be that woman who has this thing? What version of you is showing up? Keep breathing it in, letting yourself breathe into the vision, letting yourself breathe into the experience. You're allowed. You are allowed to have this much goodness. You are allowed to have your dreams come true. You are allowed to be powerful. You are allowed to be loved, adored, cherished, wealthy. Successful. It's all for you. Breathe it in. And at any moment, if you feel like you would like to start to write some things down or journal things that are coming through, please feel free to, you can, write something down and then go back into the feeling again. Stay in the feeling as long as you desire, as long as it's feeling rich and full. Thank you, Mindy, for telling me I was muted. So what I'm saying is that while you're journaling, pay a lot of attention to what you felt in your physical body as you saw yourself in the vision, as you felt yourself there. Was there something different about how you carried yourself or how you breathed, how your body felt? Really notice those things. When I was doing this practice for myself earlier and I was doing some journaling, a couple of things I noticed was that I felt very solid in the base of my body. That it felt like I had a full tank. Those were words that came through, and I wrote down solid base, full tank. And it's interesting because both of those things could reference some of the things I was speaking about with, say, my business, or some of the external things, but it was also, I could feel like, oh, for me to have that in my external reality, I need to actually feel that in my physical reality. As I'm more solid in my base, that base will feel more solid externally. Makes sense? So notice things. If it's like more fluidity, a deeper breath, if it's you feel taller, if you feel whatever you feel, but just notice what that version of yourself feels like. And you may have noticed that I popped off. Those of you that were on my webinar last week, we had some kind of interference on my line, and like 5 times like every few minutes I was getting popped off, and we had to actually cancel it and reschedule. And I thought we had taken care of whatever was wrong with the line, and it's certainly better. But apparently that happened tonight again. I hope it won't happen again. But thank you for all just hanging tight. Just in general, if that happens, you'll all still be there, and I'll come back on, as soon as I can. So I want to go ahead and move into our next practice. And what I want to encourage is that for the next several days, as much as possible, do the breathing practice, go into this place, really connect with the feeling state of this vision, and journal about it, write about it. And I encourage you that if you like making vision boards and that calls to you, you could create a vision board around it. If you want to draw pictures, create some sort of artistic expression of it, I highly recommend that. If you just want to keep writing and journaling about it, whatever way keeps you connected to it. I'm also, for the women that are, in certain cities together, I'm going to make sure you're all connected in case you want to get together and do like vision boarding parties, and or as well, you're all going to receive, those of you that want a buddy, you're all going to receive an email this week connecting you to your buddy. It's something you could do with your buddy together. You could get on a Zoom call like this, and you could create vision boards, or kind of collaborate on that. The next practice I want to do with you is something that builds on this. So once we start to get those little touch points of the vision, what we want to do next is we want to start to have that feel normalized for ourselves. So one of the things that can happen, one of the things that can block us from really having something that we deeply desire, even when we feel like we're doing all of the practices and the external things to make it happen, but it still seems to elude us, is that it feels like basically not safe. In some way, what can happen is that it can feel like it's not safe for our body to allow it in. Like our nervous system feels like something bad is going to happen to us. And that's kind of, if you've ever heard the term upper limiting, it's like sometimes we have an upper limit on what we think we're allowed to have. And we think that, well, if I have that, this is not logical stuff. This is happening in like a really sort of reptilian primal part of the brain, but it's like, I'm not going to be loved anymore. I'm going to be abandoned, or people are going to hate me, or it's just simply not safe for whatever reasons. These can be things that you inherited from your family, from our culture, what it says about who's allowed to have what things, etc. And what we want to do is allow our nervous system and our whole being to let that become normal. Like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have this. This is normal. I know what this feels like. Especially if you're going for things that feel really big. So like when Leah shared her vision, and she shared like maybe what felt like the next more safe step is like an upgrade into, oh, I see everyone's trying. I'll connect you LA people, don't worry. That like maybe what the next sort of safe thing for her system would feel like, I'm going to upgrade to a 2-bedroom apartment. But she's saying, hey, I want to take the limit off. I want the house. I want the yard. I want the photo studio. However, her system might actually get shocked by that if she hasn't normalized herself to it. Right? There's a way that when something comes in and we actually think like we're not allowed to have it, or it's too big for us, that we can sabotage it or block it and not receive it. And what we're going to start to do with the essential oil practice that I'm sharing with you is we start to get connected to daily dropping into that vision so that it actually feels normal. Our whole nervous system is aligned to it. All of our chakras are aligned, and we're like, oh, this feels like the normal thing for me. We tend to manifest and create what feels normal for us, right? And something that's outside of that just feels like that's like it's a mismatch. Even if it's what you consciously have been trying to create and want, some part of you, again, it's like it's that more primal part that is beneath, it's in the subconscious, and it's very visceral in the body, can just sort of contract against it. And so by doing this practice that I'm going to share in a moment, what happens is we start to breathe in those images, that vision, and our whole system starts to feel like, oh no, that's just who I am. This is normal. And, there is one example that was so clear in my mind, actually, last time I taught this course, which had happened just before, where this thing showed up, and it was that moment of like, holy shit, is this happening? This is happening. Oh my God, this is happening. This is exactly what I've envisioned. And I knew that at other times in my life, there was a way that when that thing had shown up, I couldn't let it in. I blocked it. And there was this feeling of when it happened, I was like, oh no, I've been seeing this every single day. Like, of course this is happening. And that's when we can really let something in. And so what I ask you to do is choose an essential oil. And if you don't have the perfect thing tonight, that's something that you can sort of feel around and find over the next week. I have, one of the ones I'm using is Peace and Calming by Young Living. I really like their essential oils. And of course, there's other really great high quality essential oil brands. But finding something that when you breathe it in, it feels really like juicy, delicious, positive, and you want to have it connected, like in a Pavlovian dog way, to your vision. Yeah. And what we're going to be doing, I'm going to teach just the part 1 of this practice today. And next week, I'll be sharing a more extended version of it. But what we're going to do this week is you're going to take that oil or whatever fragrance it is that you have, and you're going to put a drop of it into your hand, and you're going to rub your palms together, and then you're going to inhale. And I'm going to give you these phrases. You'll see them written. I'm going to send it to you after tonight's class. The first thing that you're going to inhale in, it's going to sound strange that I'm asking you to do this, but is limited. And when you breathe that in, I want you to feel in your whole body what limited feels like, the contraction. It's not going to feel very good. You're going to do 3 breaths of limited. And then after you do 3 breaths of that, you're going to breathe in liberation 3 times, and you're going to feel what that feels like. And it's kind of like the genie through the body, like kind of coming up. Like I feel like this energy of just, usually the energy for me, I feel starts in my pelvis and it just moves all the way up, and I feel everything expand into liberation. And so 3 times liberation. You're going to breathe it in, breathe in the smell, feel that moving through your system. And then you're going to say, I am willing to change. And you're going to breathe that in. And when you do the I am willing to change, you're going to see your vision. You're going to actually physically see the vision, experience the vision. And next week, we're going to work with how you tap on your chakras and you get it lined up that way. But what you're going to do right now is just limited, liberation, I'm willing to change. And you don't need to actually say these out loud. What you're going to do is you're going to just really feel the sensation of what limited feels like. Feel. You can sort of say the word to yourself, but it's mostly about the feeling of it. And then the I am willing to change. So let's do that together. Grab your oil. You can do a little drop. And then you're rubbing your hands together. And then now first 3 times with limited. And once you've done that 3 times, then you're going to take in 3 breaths with liberation. Really feeling what does liberation feel like in your system. And then next, I am willing to change and start to see some of those snapshots. or feel yourself in the vision. Sometimes I feel so much I have to like make sounds. If you need to make sounds, it's okay. Sometimes it's like I feel the energy move and I'm like, ah! That's okay if that happens. I'm willing to change 3 times. Feeling yourself in the vision, letting yourself change and evolve and open up into that woman. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and open your eyes. So, so your homework, how we're going to begin right now, is that you're going to continue to journal and work with your vision and the breathing practice, feeling sensation, expand on that vision in whatever way feels good to you creatively. You're going to begin to, in the morning, I recommend, you can also do it at night. You could do this 2 times a day, or you could just do it once. I feel like it's best to do it, if you're only going to do it once, to do it in the morning, to start your day this way. Before you even get out of bed, have your oil next to you, like on the bedside table. And first thing when you wake up, connect yourself to that vision. And then do the limited liberation and I'm willing to change. And I'm going to send you the instructions for that. I'm also going to give you a link tomorrow to the Urban Goddess HQ for this course. And on there will be some videos and audios that show you the breathing practice and these practices. You're also going to receive some PDFs from me. And these PDFs are the 40-day practice. And I would like for us to all begin the 40-day practice together on the new moon, which is Friday. So Friday is a potent new moon, and you can start that day. And for 40 consecutive days, you're going to do a journaling practice with some statements I'm going to send you. And these statements are from an abundance practice or prosperity practice that comes from a little more of a kind of, I would say it's a little bit more of a Christian kind of background. And I've changed some of the language to feminize it a little bit for some of the statements. And just know that some of the statements feel like they almost have like an antiquated quality to the language, which is actually really powerful. It's really potent. These daily statements really help to rewire us to understand that the source of everything that we experience in our life, the source of our prosperity, is the divine, and that we always have access to that, and that we truly, truly, when we tap into that, we have the faith, the trust, and the belief that allows the miracles to occur in our life. And it's like this kind of strange hypnosis or something that doing these daily statements does. And the instructions will be in the PDFs, but I'm just going to kind of lay it out for you a little bit right now, which is that the very first day, there is like an initial long statement that you're going to write out. So I would recommend having a journal that's just for this course. And you're going to write out in your journal that whole statement on day 1. It's like claiming. It's a real claiming kind of statement. And then there's a series of 10 statements that you're going to cycle through, 1 per day for 10 days. Then you're going to go back to the beginning on day 11, go through again for 40 days. And you're going to write out the statement, and then you're going to spend a little time meditating on the statement, just feeling the statement alive within yourself. And then you're going to write down and journal whatever comes to you in association with the statement. And it just can take a few minutes. I want to be clear that the initial first statement, you only need to write the first day. So the first day of the practice, you're going to write 2 statements. You're going to write the big initial claiming one, and then day 1. Then after that, you're just going to do 1 statement per day. And like I said, you'll write it out. You'll just sit, let it meditate, move through you, like really let it come alive within you. You could meditate up to 20 minutes with it, but if that's not really doable for you, just spending a few minutes letting it move through you is fine. And then just writing down whatever comes to you. I remember last time one of our participants wrote incredibly, she would send me daily for a while these, like, she was just so inspired, like things were coming to her, and she's very artistic. So it would be like these pictures of like the energy flows here and it goes there and then this and I'm making this and the magic and the, but it's like, they really inspire a lot. So you're going to receive those in a separate email with the PDFs. You're going to receive a link from me to the HQ, which will have videos and audios for the practices that we've started with today, and also for recording of today's class. Every week on the Thursday after in the morning, you will receive an email, and it's always the same link. You actually only need that one link, but you'll receive an email just reminding you and giving you access into the recordings and whatever extra audios or videos are there. I want to use, I'm seeing if there's anything else. I think many of you have responded, but when you first signed up, you got an initial welcome email, and make sure to respond to me with that. And one of the things that's really important is getting your mailing address, because I'm going to mail you something, and letting me know if you want a buddy. And if you do, you're going to receive an email this week connecting you with a buddy. I'll also connect those of you that are in the same city, so you can get together. You can have viewing parties even, like you can all watch the classes together, which some of the women have done before. You can get together and, do, like I said, vision boarding or other things like that. And I'm also want to make sure to get everyone into the Facebook group. If there's anyone who's not in Facebook at all, let me know, just so I know that if there's things being posted there that you're not finding out about, that I can let you know about it. And otherwise, if we're not connected on Facebook, find me in that welcome email. There's also a link to the Facebook group, and you can request an invitation in. And in the last few minutes, I want to open up for Q&A or comments. And if you have a question, go ahead and write it into the chat. Or comment. No questions? Rebecca's asking how long. So it's 6 weeks. And so, yeah, I think it's February 26th is the last week. All right. Sandra says, no questions. Looking forward to all of it. Yay, yay, yay. Let's do this. Oh, the time of this course is so aligned. Yes. Yay, Lulu. Love this so much. Yay, 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 yay. Yeah, I'm excited that this is such a great circle, and I'm excited for you all to kind of get to know each other a little bit more too, and each week have the opportunity for at least one or two of you to get to share. Let's do this. I'm going to put us like gallery view so we can see each other. I think maybe not everyone can show up here. And I'm going to take you all off mute, and we'll just do one final, oh wait, a couple more questions, wait. Acknowledgement. Can you speak to the embodiment and normalization that happens in the nervous system? I'm really feeling that right now. Helen says she's already feeling the energy shifting. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. Okay. So regarding, yay. So regarding the embodiment and the normalization that happens in the nervous system, yes, it's, basically, is there a specific question you have around it, Lulu? Or I'll just start to sort of speak to it. If there's something more specific, you can go ahead and type it in. But what I want to say is just the fact that I think that we probably all had that moment. Have you ever had that moment where the thing that you desired came to you, but you couldn't quite let it in or receive it in some capacity, where you kind of like, you felt yourself like kind of get jolted? There's a way that we become habituated you know, through our life to like, this is what it feels like and what's normal for us. And anything, even if it's like really great, if it feels too far outside of that, it can jolt our system. It can be something that we just can't really like let in. And basically, you know, what we experience tends to be a reflection of what we expect, you know, is one way I'll put it. And how do we know what it is that we expect? It's something that's like alive within our physical body. It's something that we're moving through our life with an expectation of a certain thing. And when we do this practice where we touch into something and we let ourselves really breathe into it and we let ourselves really feel it, it just becomes the thing that we know, you know. And like in a negative way, it's like if you knew a lot of abuse, then abuse becomes something that feels normal, and it's almost like you're attracted to it, and it's what you let in, and it's like it's familiar, right? And in this case, what we want to get connected to is very much the opposite of that. It's the thing that you want to experience, and to let that start to feel like that's something that like it's like, oh, I know that. Like, it's like my best friend. I do that every day. And so that allows the nervous system to calm down into something because it feels familiar. Is that helpful? She's just more general, just feeling it. Yeah, I'm so, like, there's certain moments that are so clear in my mind, like that one that I shared where it was like, I was so like, I was observing like, oh my gosh, like I've definitely done some work here because this is feeling normal, like this really amazing thing that was happening that just came in, and I let it. It was just, I could calmly receive it. And just like, yeah, of course. Oh, Paige says, so funny. I've been manifesting a new car and I'm getting one tomorrow. I had an anxiety attack. I've been moving towards it for months. So funny, right? So yeah. So to let yourself like sort of let that, whatever the thing is that's been like bringing up anxiety around, let's just like, yeah, it's normal. And it's like, it's what's supposed to happen. It's that feeling of when something becomes normalized, it's like, oh yeah, this is what's supposed to happen. And sometimes people think that like, it's that like, oh, when's the other shoe going to drop kind of thing, is sort of like, oh, like this isn't supposed to happen, but when's the bad thing that's supposed to happen going to come? And so that like when a good thing comes, that's another way that we kind of sabotage something, right? It's like a good thing comes, but then somewhere, like, where did that come from? I don't even know where that phrase comes from, but we have this idea like, oh, don't get too happy because a bad thing's going to come. And guess what? If you expect that, you're laying the train tracks down for the bad thing to come. You're like looking for it, waiting for it, And so this is a way for something to be like, no, this is just normal. Like, this is what's supposed to happen. I don't need to get all like, okay, what's the bad thing? On guard, because something too good happened to me. I can't stay here very long. So yeah. Beautiful, ladies. I feel like just to close out, let's just, I'm going to take you all off of mute. Let me see how I manage participants. And we'll do one final just ma to sort of close the class tonight, but the portal is wide open. All right, beautiful ladies. Let's go ahead and inhale. So once again, feeling ourselves all in a big circle, connected to this incredible divine portal into magic, knowing ourselves as divine co-creators, and inviting in without any fear all the goodness that is on its way to us. All right. Beautiful ladies. Mwah. So, like I said, you're going to receive a few emails with me, from me, with everything that's going to set you up for the next few weeks. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And oh, by the way, the Facebook group, get in there, and I would love for you to like just get active and get in conversation in there, because I can already see so much conversation coming up in the comments section tonight, and keep that going, because having that active in the sphere over the week helps keep you connected to the portal, helps keep you connected to the practices and to the magic that's going on. And definitely share some music in there. I'm gonna, like I said, make a playlist. Women have been sharing in the Facebook group songs that really get your body moving and get you like kind of like your theme song for 2020 vision, or you can put in a few. I tend to like a lot of like old school stuff. I put in that great Michael Jackson song, and I've been listening to Prince this week. It's like songs that help you feel this like levitational force, because that's one of the things that we're connecting to here, like where like when this portal opens and we feel this energy through the statements and all the practices we're doing, it's like instead of that gravity that wants to hold us down into this sort of lower matrix reality, it's this levitational force that feels that sense of liberation that we're breathing in through the practices. So music that supports that. Really share your favorite songs with us, and do that, just as like a side practice in your morning. Start your day with some music that really gets you moving, gets you feeling that levitational force. All right, beauties, I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.